when it comes to technology, they are the experts, maybe not in government computer systems, but with that, Tom Kelly with us, the CEO of Automation Alley. I was the entire conversation. I was like, Tom could fix that.
You are overselling me in a huge way. I wouldn't go there, but certainly can be good at some things, right?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, I was listening to the end of that conversation with Charlie, and he's a hard act to follow. He's very interesting guy.
Yeah, he is very interesting as well. But on top of that, he is passionate, but you're passionate as well. And one of the
Yeah.
great things
Hell
about
yeah, right? That's
America,
the way to.
yeah, there you go, is that we bring people together. Is we have to have different passions in this world in order for our society to function. And for you, it's Automation Alley. For people not familiar, give us the background.
So Automation Alley's been around 20 years, going on our 21st year now in Oakland County. We have grown every year, and we've gotten more involved in the community around all things automation. And because of that long arc, we now our tagline is Michigan's Industry 4.0 Knowledge Center, and Industry 4.0 is the fourth industrial revolution, and it's how we navigate in manufacturing to do things smarter, better, faster, using new technologies like collaborative robotics, like virtual reality and augmented reality on your phone. All of these technologies that are coming to bear, and manufacturing, we don't see it because people don't pay attention, but manufacturing is 20% of our GDP, and we run the risk of losing our place in the world in manufacturing because we're not paying attention to how fast technology is moving.
But are we already behind in
Oh,
America
heck yeah.
from other countries? Because I feel like they have put more attention on this, whereas we've geared away
Yeah.
from manufacturing, they've embraced it.
It's not so much that they've paid attention and we haven't. It's that we built assets around the third industrial revolution. So we have all of these assets in manufacturing that are, in our minds, worth a lot of money and have a culture built around it. And somebody like Mexico for the last 20 years says, well, we had no manufacturing, so everything we do is cutting edge and current because it's today's dollars. And
Oh.
that happened in China. Now you're seeing it, China's getting like us, they're getting expensive. And so you're seeing manufacturing move to Vietnam and Singapore and some of these other places in Asia. But there's two things happening, Ronnie, that are really in our favor. Manufacturing is going from being a big man's game to being a fragmented small man's game like it used to be. The journeyman, the skilled trades, those kinds of things. Because of 3D printing, because of virtual reality, because of all these technologies that say, if I'm little, I can still make something useful, I can print it myself. This is where Michigan can shine. So why we're focused on this is not to sort of hold on to what we have. It's to reinvent ourselves and dominate for the next cycle of manufacturing that is, by the way, going to be reshored back to America just as equally as it'll reshore other places coming out of China. So there's a lot to gain by this. And we're in a good position to really win finally. After 20 years of sort of losing on the global stage, we can finally win.
And is how much of that is centered around technologies such as 3D printing?
It's everything. 3D printing is going to displace what we call subtractive manufacturing where you start with a big hunk of metal and you grind it down to make it smaller, right? And you waste all that part. Whereas 3D printing is you start with fiber or some kind of material and you build it up and you make that part. Everything is going to go additive. Ronnie, I got to tell you one example. There's a guy, we're part of the World Economic Forum. There's a guy, I know his name is Tim Ellis. He's the CEO and founder of a company called Relativity Space. He's using 3D printing to build an entire rocket in one go.
What?
Yes, and he's got it costs about 60 to 100 million to build a rocket. He thinks he can build it for $10 million. And by the way, his first real test of launching it into space is going to be this summer. If you think about that, that puts the entire aerospace industry at risk because everybody has to be in the 3D printing business now.
Right.
And this is just one guy working on one technology. Technology is everything in manufacturing. The problem we have in Oakland County and elsewhere, Ronnie, is we have 2,200 manufacturers in Oakland County. Most of them are small. Almost all of them are small. And none of them are paying attention to how fast technology is moving. They say, you know what? I inherited the same assets that my father had.
Yep.
He willed them to me. And now I'm going to build this, or, whatever the case may be. You have to focus on revamping how you go to market and what you do. And that's what we do. That's what Automation Alley does. We help take the scariness out of this technological transition and say, it shouldn't be scary. It's actually an opportunity. Here's the way I can make money. And here's the way I can get my children into the business, my sons and daughters, and have them inherit something that they think was really cool. Because additive is cool. Young kids love additive. They don't like the dirty, dangerous, dull, but they love robotics and they love additive. So let's do it. Let's give them robotics and additive.
So with that, Tom, the technology changes so fast. How do you keep up with it, especially if you're an old school person?
Well, we talk a lot about option-like bets. So technology changes fast for us as consumers too. And we've just built into our lives that every 3 years I'm going to get a new phone. Right. Or every 4 years, right?
Darn
Nobody
you,
says,
Apple.
Oh my God, I have to pay $1,000 every 4 years for a GD phone, Nobody says that. They say, I love it. The new technology allows me to do even more with my life than I was doing before. So we've come to expect on the consumer side that life is just going to be continuously obsoleted, and I just keep up with it. I've made that choice. For 40 years, I didn't have a Ring doorbell. Now I do. I can see who's at the door before I go get it. So life happens. The same is happening in manufacturing, but we've somehow assumed that, if I do something, then I have to hold on to that asset for 20 years. All it is it's a financial equation that you have to reset your mind that says, I'm going to be reinventing what I do here continuously, the same as I reinvent my personal life continuously as a consumer.
So with that, Tom, we're talking with Tom Kelly. He's the CEO for Automation Alley. And I know the last time we talked, you were able to get some of these 3D printers into various manufacturing companies throughout Oakland County as a way through the COVID dollars and the pandemic to help them thrive and hopefully survive going forward. How is that going?
It's going awesome. Now, you have a bell curve, right? We've distributed 300 printers, Ronnie, 300. So that's 300 manufacturers. Many of them couldn't spell 3D, and it's no offense to them. I kid with them, right? But now they've got these printers, and we've educated all of them on how to use it. And we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, where it was designed where it's an entire network where if we ever have an emergency, we can print PPE as needed. That was the whole point. And so they're now all connected. We've achieved our mission. I think when I was on, we were talking about the mission. We've now got all these printers. But the beautiful thing that's happened is we said, we don't want you to have these printers just to make PPE. We want you to learn and be excited about 3D printing. And so one example, there's one guy in Oakland County. He used to buy a valve overseas, cost him $100 for a stainless steel valve. He now 3D prints it himself in carbon fiber. The performance is better, and it costs him $1 to print that valve. And he puts it on all the machines that go out the door. He's putting that valve on those machines. He increased his profit margin $100 with one part, just like that. And now he's saying, I'm tearing my machine apart, looking for other ways that I can print these components and get them in. And we're seeing this time and time and time and time again. It's just a wonderful story. It's going to change Oakland County forever, what we're doing with these 3D printers.
You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. And Tom, if I can ask you, how do you go to the small mom and pop manufacturing companies and try to have this conversation? Hey, we want you to go into 3D printing. What's that been like?
These 300 are the small mom and pops. And you know what? They never would have done it. These are $20,000 machines. And every single one of them would say, 3D printing is interesting, but I'm not putting $20,000 up to make this happen. And
especially in a pandemic too.
Of course, they're just trying to survive. So the beauty of the CARES dollars was we had a chance to make an investment in our community that would pay dividends forever for someone that never would have taken the risk on their own. We said, here, take a printer, right? And well, it's a free government thing, free money is you were talking with your last guest. Well, we know it's not free. We're making an investment. But for them, they said, okay, sure, what have I got to lose? If you want to give me a printer, I'll take it. And these are the mom and pops that we've transformed their lives, their manufacturing lives, because all of them, the anecdotal stories, one after the other, are, I had no idea. Did you know I can do this now? Tom, did you know I can print that now? And I'm like, I did know that. I was waiting for you to find out you could do that. So these are truly the mom and pop shops, Ronnie. It's what gets me up in the morning. It is wonderful to see.
You know what's so great too is they are really the testimony to other shops and other business owners to embrace the new technology.
That's right. And we want them to teach others. The whole point is we are a nonprofit. We're trying to seed the community with this technology. And then we're stitching the community together to say, you teach each other. That's what it should be. To create a compelling community around manufacturing is changing. And how it changes, it's becoming very collaborative. In this town, one of the hardest things we wrestle with is automotive is very secretive and very non-collaborative. And nobody wants to share anything with anybody for fear that they're going to get the scoop on the next big production part. Additive manufacturing iterates so fast that it's the exact opposite. I want everybody to help me. It's almost like software development, where if you go to the Silicon Valley, everybody says, what are you doing? Oh, I make this. Hey, how can I help? What can I do with you? I'll write some code with you. It's a very collaborative environment because software is about, you can never fill the whole universe, right? It's always the next thing. So therefore, there's room for you, Ronnie, and there's room for me, and there's room for everybody else. Manufacturing was always a zero-sum game. If you have the order, I don't. Therefore, I have to be secretive. Not in additive, because additive explodes the world of abundance in manufacturing. The ability to innovate becomes so big that we need to change our cultural mindset and say, you know what? I want to help you do your part because you'll help me do my part. And that's what we're trying to change. It's a tough slog, let me tell you, but we're trying.
Well, one thing with the pandemic, it has opened up some of these doors that would have been closed prior to COVID-19 because we've all had to think and work differently. But I also kind of wonder when we're looking at this technology, just in layman's terms, what's it been like to try to have this conversation with unions as well?
You know, we've had conversations with the UAW. In fact, we were poised to do a project with the UAW around robotics, but COVID hit, pandemic hit, everything came to a standstill. We see unions as a part of the solution because what I truly believe this, unions need to get back in the business of really teaching because the world is changing so fast. You can't have a union that says, hey, we're focused on contractually negotiating how we do the job today, because that job is going to change tomorrow immediately. The world is changing so fast. The unions used to be the place you went to learn a trade. They used to be the ones that came out with the plumber certificates and the electrician certificates and the assembly worker stuff. Unions need to get back in the business of training, and training will be continuous. We might reach a world where you go to your job for 4 days and you go to the union hall for a day and you learn something new. That aggressive, because we have to get there. So I see unions as part of the solution, but sometimes I think unions don't see that they're part of the solution, and they have to be able to teach their people because that's going to be the future.
Right. It's that leadership component that we really need to start to develop because the world is wide open and technology is here to make it better. We're speaking with Tom Kelly. He's the CEO for Automation Alley. And Tom, just a few more minutes because I know we've taken up a lot of your time. But you have some exciting projects coming up. Do you want to share those with us?
Well, we have two things coming up that I want to make sure people are aware of. One is we have this, what we call this technology and industry report. Every year, we work with our academic institutions like Lawrence Tech, like Oakland University, like Oakland Community College, Baker College. We have about 12 academic institutions we work with. And they really help us look over the hill and around the bend of where is the world going related to manufacturing technology, right? So augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D printing, all the things you hear about collaborative robotics. And we publish a feature-rich report. It's like 110 pages, and it's getting revealed on June 22nd. And you'll be able to tune in. I believe it's free. It's a Zoom session. So come to automationalley.com and get registered to get that information. I think you'll be able to download that report. And then the second thing, Ronnie, is Integrate, our Industry 4.0 conference. We get about 1,200 people into the TCF Center every year. We missed last year because of COVID. It's back. It's October 19th. It is, if you are a nerd like me, it's the best thing going. If you want to see some cool robots, if you want to see, put on some VR goggles, if you want to see what's happening in manufacturing, how cool it is. The last time we did it, we bussed kids in from Detroit schools. We had like 300 kids crawling all over that exhibition, and it was wonderful. And those kids had such a good time. A lot of times they knew more than the manufacturers did about the technology.
Right. The kids are smart today.
Yeah. So I tell everybody, come on down October 19th, back in person, fully open. It's going to be awesome.
That is going to be so fun. And I will say, I love it. The fourth industrial revolution, how you refer to it, because we have to continue to grow and to evolve. But Tom, before we say goodbye, I will say I'm not a manufacturing person. I have no technical ability or concept, but I find your podcast very entertaining.
Thank you. Thank you. We have to get back to it. We haven't made one in a while. So that's it. We're coming back with podcasts. Everything is reopening. We're delighted. And I'm so glad that you're a fan, because everybody should love manufacturing. It's what made America, and it's what will make America again. We just kind of took a 50-year break.
Right. But on top, I feel like your podcast, some of the conversations are just for the people, anyone that's not in manufacturing and you don't get the world, you will still get something out of these podcasts. Just enlighten yourself and learn something new. I think you guys do a great job with it. So again, we're so lucky to have you guys here in Oakland County.
Thank you. And we're happy to be here. We love being in Oakland County. You know, I work so well with Dave and his team over there, and Sean Carlson. They're great to work with. Really, really good strategic thinkers. There's good leadership in Oakland County these days, and I'm thrilled.
Well, that's great to hear, because we're going to need it to continue to emerge from this pandemic, but stronger and better. And like you said, the 3D printing could just be one of those components to help us get there as a community. Again, Tom Kelly with the CEO Automation Alley. You can go to their website to find out more. Tom, again, we so appreciate your time, and also our apologies for running a little behind.
No worries at all. Always love to tell the story of manufacturing, Ronnie.